As this coin falls into the box, society sees the ultimate selfless act. But economics assumes human beings are driven entirely by rational self-interest. So how do we explain giving our money away for nothing in return? In 1928, Frank P. Ramsey offered a theory of perfect altruism. He argued we should give money solely when there is a genuine need, to provide a public good that the market has missed, like building infrastructure to supply clean water. Economist Stephen Landsberg takes this logic to its absolute limit. If you only care about solving a problem, say extreme poverty, you should find the single most effective charity on earth and direct 100% of your wealth to that one specific cause. But we rarely do that. Instead, we split our money across multiple charities, we buy charity lottery tickets, and we sponsor a coworker's weekend bike ride. We distribute our funds in ways that heavily dilute their impact. Because our actual behavior contradicts the basic math of perfect altruism, the economic conclusion is straightforward. Our true motivations for giving must be impure. Economist James Andriani calls this impure altruism. He suggests we don't donate just to fix a problem in the world. We give because the act of giving triggers a highly personal psychological satisfaction, a phenomenon known as the warm glow. This completely changes the math of charity. If you give $1,000 to a single cause, you get one rush of satisfaction. But if you split $100 across 10 different charities, you purchase 10 distinct chances to feel good. Gary Becker pushed this idea further, arguing our giving is often driven by the desire to receive social acclaim or avoid public scorn. That is why charitable foundations publish lists of their top donors. Studies by Craig Landry back this up. His research shows that donation rates spike significantly when charities offer superficial incentives, like a small prize, or when the person asking for the money is highly attractive. At the microeconomic level, a charitable donation is a rational transaction. The donor is effectively purchasing personal utility, dopamine, and social status. But when you multiply that personal pursuit of a warm glow by millions of donors, billions of dollars flood into developing nations. Development economist Jeffrey Sachs argues that this massive influx of charitable aid is essential. He contends it is the only way the poorest countries can break the cycle of poverty and build a self-sustaining economy. We see this working when aid targets specific, measurable problems. Distributing free insecticide-treated mosquito nets helps neutralize malaria, a disease that costs African economies an estimated $12 billion every year. Yet, economists like Simeon Jonkov and Peter Bauer point to a major complication, known as the aid curse. They argue that generous foreign aid can actually damage the institutions of the countries it intends to help. When an overwhelming amount of free capital enters a developing economy, it breeds aid dependency and corrupt governance. In Burkina Faso during the late 1980s, foreign aid accounted for a full 2/3 of the government budget, removing the incentive for the state to build its own self-sufficient tax base. Jagdish Bhagwati highlights another risk, moral hazard. When recipient nations expect a steady flow of foreign aid, it drastically reduces their incentive to increase domestic savings. Bhagwati argues that the most effective way to alleviate poverty is through domestic economic reform and free trade. He notes that the massive reduction in poverty seen in nations like China was driven by opening markets, not by relying on foreign charity. We arrive at a difficult reality. By prioritizing our own psychological reward in the act of giving, we can inadvertently fund systemic macroeconomic failures, trapping the exact populations we intend to save. If personal charity is selfish and global aid is potentially toxic, is the most logical choice to simply stop giving altogether? Stephen Landsberg offers a thought-provoking paradox. He suggests that a miser, someone who earns money but refuses to spend it, is unknowingly generous. By hoarding wealth and refusing to consume the Earth's limited resources, the miser leaves more material wealth available for everyone else. John Maynard Keynes countered this type of thinking with basic macroeconomic reality. Hoarding wealth creates massive pools of unused savings, which leads directly to economic stagnation and plummeting living standards. More importantly, becoming a miser does absolutely nothing to solve the root market failure that charity is meant to address in the first place, the chronic underprovision of critical public goods. This brings us back to the reality of impure altruism, which actually creates a double benefit. the market failure is addressed, and the charity gets vital funds, while the donor rationally earns their psychological warm glow. Economics gives us permission to enjoy the selfish feeling of giving, but true generosity requires that we look past our own immediate utility and apply rigorous scrutiny to ensure our dollars actually solve systemic problems.